Okay, I can't not record this any longer. I've been waiting. I don't even know where to start. I just learned something very troubling and very telling about human psychology, right? I'm gonna try to string this together. It's kind of all bouncing around in here like a pinball machine. And there's so much related to this that wants to come out. Okay. I just learned about the phrase, the term, anticipated regret. This is terminology that is used in psychology, in studying psychology. And it's essentially the feeling that you might feel bad about something in the future. So it's a fear. It's a fear of feeling bad. It's a fear of regret, essentially. And this is tricky. It's used to manipulate people. What I was just reading is studies showing how intentionally manipulating and creating the experience of anticipated regret can be used to drive people, is effective in driving people to take action on things. It's no different from peer pressure, really. It's somebody saying to you, you really ought to do this thing, because if you don't, A, B, and C. If you don't, you're gonna regret it. What baseline, what does that sound like to you? Baseline, what it sounds like to me, somebody saying, if you don't do this, you're gonna regret it. That sounds like a threat. That sounds like a mafioso mobster guy, pounding his fist going, you're gonna regret it. Gosh, if you don't take out the insurance, I think you're gonna regret it. If you don't fall in line, if you don't do this thing, you're gonna regret it. And it's incredibly effective, of course, because it plays on fear and it plays on the natural egoic desire to escape and avoid pain. Oh, I don't want to feel pain. I don't want to feel bad. I better do this thing to prevent my perceived anticipation of future bad feeling. Does that sound nuts to anybody else? Is it just me? It's fine if it is. It's fine if it is just me. But that sounds fucking crazy. That's why we do things, because we don't want to feel bad about them later. And this is used to market everything. It is especially used in the health and fitness, in the self-improvement industry. And I've seen it, and I've fallen prey to it on more than one occasion. You don't want to regret not taking these steps. You don't want to be in this body the way that it is. You could not possibly be happy in the experience of your body the way that it is, in the experience of your life the way that it is. You must be miserable. I know, we know you're miserable. Oh, and we're on your side. We're on your side. We know you've tried. You've tried everything. Diet, weight loss, self-help programs, therapy, You name it, you've tried it, and it just hasn't worked, has it? But we've got the thing. We've got the thing. We've got the golden ticket to your happiness, which, again, certainly could not be found where you are with what you have. Oh, no, 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 because then you wouldn't buy what we're selling you. If you found a way to just feel good right now, with the body that you're in, with the life situation that you're in, you wouldn't want it to change, and we couldn't sell you the change. But you definitely need these tools, this course, this kit, this pill, this workout program. You definitely need this. And I know you're unsure about it, but you're gonna regret it. You're gonna regret it if you don't. That is such an effective marketing tactic, and it's proven by psychology. We've studied this. We've studied this. We've run experiments where we intentionally manipulate people into feeling bad preemptively, saying you're going to feel bad if you don't do this. Think of how you're going to feel if you keep eating the chocolate bonbons. Think of how you're going to feel. And I understand that what I'm talking about here is, it's radical, and not everybody's going to agree, and that's okay. We don't need to agree. I don't need anybody to agree with this. This is my own personal expression. This is my own life. This is the way that I choose to live my life experience. And I believe that we can't do it wrong. You can't do it incorrectly. And all of these things that we call negative choices, things that I have called in my past, things that I have pointed out in others and say, that's a flaw, that's a negative choice, and you're gonna regret it. I've done that. I've been there, I've done that. And I've changed that perspective. I no longer perceive anything as a bad decision. Because none of this is as fucking serious as we make it out to be. This is just a game, and there is not a way to win or lose. It's a game that doesn't end. It's a game that has no singular set of defined rules. It's rules that we get to make up and change as we go. And if we want to stop playing the game where we can lose, we can stop playing that game. Death is not serious. Death is not a problem. All of this stuff that we do to avoid death is ridiculous. And again, I'm speaking from my own perspective, so this doesn't have to mean shit to anybody else. But for me, my understanding is death of the physical form is going to happen. It's going to happen to every one of us, and it's not a problem. So what is the big deal? Why spend all of this time and effort worrying about it, trying to prevent it, when really it is not within our control? Why not live the happiest possible experience that you can, and let that mean whatever the fuck it means? Whatever it means. If for you the happiest experience is working out every day and eating only salads, then okay, that's fine. If for you the happiest experience is a lot of drinking and smoking and indulgence in, even that word, indulgence, is loaded. It's a loaded word. Experiencing things that feel good to you. Just because somebody else says, well, that's not good for your body. Number one, that's not objectively true. It's not. Number two, guess what? Physical existence is not good for your body. Physical existence is slowly killing this body. Does that mean we don't do this? Does that mean we stop physically existing? This body will eventually disintegrate, as all form does. That's not the end of you, and it's not a problem. It's not a bad thing. Having this knowledge, then, For me, it opens things up. So life is exactly what you want to make of it. Do you want to feel good right here and now? In this body, in this life situation, or do you need something to change to feel good? And is that not just delaying your joy? Delaying your joy. Things will change one way or another. We really don't have as much control over that as we think we do. Why not let them take a natural course? And in the meantime, simply be and enjoy being as you are. So much of the self-improvement shit relies on shame. It's still manipulating human psychology. It's still manipulating the ego. And again, I have followed a lot of this stuff. And I've even talked about some of it. I've talked about doing the things so that you don't regret them later. But I will apply one caveat here, because it does seem to me that there is a line. There is a fine line. There's a subtle difference here. The things that I feel and do still feel should be taken action on so that we don't it's not even, it's not because of a not experiencing regret. That's where the line is. It's not to prevent not feeling good. It's a recognition that this is a thing that you want to do, but something is stopping you. Something internally is stopping you. It's not, well, I don't know if I really want to do this or not, but I'm afraid of what will happen if I don't. I'm afraid of the bad feeling if I don't. So that's what's driving my action. I don't like that. What I do feel and believe in is a lot of times we stop ourselves from taking action on something, and it's primarily an emotional thing. Things that have to do with emotional expression and fulfillment. That's where I see this, that's where I feel this the most. We inhibit our expression because of a fear of rejection, because of a fear of how we're going to be perceived. We do things like withhold our emotions from one another. We say things like, I don't want to tell that person how I feel because I'm afraid of how they're going to react. And then we hold that in, and maybe we lose the chance. And we feel the pang of what we would then call regret. And I would say, yes, then. Do the thing that you're afraid of. Do the thing that you feel afraid of doing. Because it's going to hurt worse. Not because it's going to hurt worse, actually, and that's just it. It's not because of the pain. It's because this is the thing you actually want to do, and just don't let the fear, it's not going to feel good for the fear to make your decision. It's such a subtle but powerful difference. Letting fear make your decision doesn't feel good. And if that fear is deciding to keep you small and to keep you closed off and to keep you from expressing, to keep you from doing something like standing up and singing a song or giving a speech because you're afraid of being rejected, you're afraid of being perceived in some way. No, do the thing because you're not doing it because of a result. You're doing it for the satisfaction of fulfilling your own desire. You have a desire to do this thing. There is a fear that's keeping you from doing it. Do the thing to fulfill your desire, not because of some result. The result ceases to matter. You let go of the outcome. It doesn't fucking matter if people like it or not. It doesn't matter if it accomplishes or achieves anything. Nothing changes. You just did the thing that you wanted to do, and now you feel good. That is so markedly different from being manipulated into doing something out of fear, out of the fear of not doing it. Different from somebody saying, just you're gonna regret it. You know, that this is your chance. This is your one chance to feel good. And you don't want to feel bad, do you? You don't want to feel bad, and you might feel really bad if you don't do this thing. And it's subtle, but it's so important. That difference being is this a pure desire? Is taking action on this something that I desire, and there's something that's holding me back from it? Or is this a thing that I really just don't want to do, but I feel pressured into doing it? I'm feeling this peer pressure, essentially, that is pushing me to do it. It's tricky, and it can really only be applied on a case-by-case basis, too. But it's one of those things, too, that I don't feel that there is a right or wrong answer. And I would even say, you know, if you don't do the thing, share the emotional expression, share yourself, this thing that you want to do. If the fear stops you, well, that's okay too. Guess what? The world doesn't stop turning. You don't lose your chance at feeling good. It's really, really okay. This is not an all or nothing situation. If you don't tell that person how you feel and they disappear forever, maybe they die, you still have a choice. You can still express to them energetically. You can meet them on a higher plane, accessed internally, and unload. You can tell them everything, and then you can feel unburdened, and you can feel okay, and you can reconcile that difference within yourself, and you can go about the rest of life experience not carrying this burden of regret. You don't need to regret anything. You don't. It just becomes more obvious to me how this has been twisted and manipulated, and it's so insidious, and it's absolutely woven its way through the spiritual community. You know, all this stuff about reaching your life's purpose, and you're never going to reach your purpose unless you unblock these things. You release the past life persecution and the financial abundance blocks and the whatever, all of this, the things that you're keeping from yourself, and you could have such a big, beautiful, vibrant life. And I'm not saying your life has to look any one way, but that's just it. It doesn't have to look any one way. You can have the big, beautiful, vibrant life, but that can be your life right now. That can just be right now. Yes, absolutely invite more love and grace and compassion for yourself in. Absolutely. And pay attention to the places where you clam up and you shut down. What things seem to make you feel smaller? What areas of your life do you contract? Yes, notice those things and give love to those things. But it's not about trying to change anything. There's nothing that needs to change. We are all exactly right to be the way we are, where we are. Nothing is going wrong. We're not missing out. This fear of missing out, that's another thing that's played on. Missing out on your purpose, missing out on fulfilling your destiny. Missing out on happiness. That's what that really leads to. You could be so happy. You could be so happy if you just did these things. If your entire life just changed. What about right now? What about just being recklessly, indiscriminately happy right now? Huh? Just fucking because? What about feeling good in your body right now? Regardless of the condition it's apparently in. Regardless of conditions, just this. I am more interested in unconditional living. Unconditional. That means it doesn't fucking matter what any of this is. Any of this is. Even any of this. Doesn't matter. Those are conditions. All of that. Conditions. The shape of my body. The food that I'm feeding it. The level of activity. Conditional. The work that I am doing. Conditional. The people that I am around. Conditional. My housing, my financial situation, conditional. I'm not telling anybody else how to live their life. I am documenting my personal experience. That's it. That's it. I'm not a professional anything. I am just here, boots on the ground like everybody else. Spiritual being having a physical experience. And my personal desire is for that to be wholly unconditional. For my joy and my love and my well-being and my abundance, my experience of those things to be unconditional, which means not related to physicality, not related to the physical world, regardless of the physical world. So maybe there's a situation physically that appears to support abundance, and maybe there's one that appears to contradict abundance. Doesn't matter. My abundance is deeper. My abundance and my experience of it is beyond that. Maybe there's a situation that supports my feeling of well-being or contradicts it. Doesn't matter. Unconditional. I am well regardless. Because this physical form and this physical experience isn't the whole of me. It is a tiny, tiny fraction. And it's a dream. It's a game anyway. It's for fun. I'm not here to prove anything. I'm not here to accomplish anything. All of that is happening. It's just happening. Growth is happening. Expansion is happening. The learning is happening. I'm not responsible for it. No one is. It's just taking place. It's unstoppable. We are fundamentally free. We are fundamentally expansive. And we are fundamentally joyful. That's the only purpose. The rest of it happens by default. The joy is what we get to choose. And I desire to choose not to limit any portion of my experience of myself. So that means I am allowed to experience joy. I'm allowed to experience abundance. I am allowed to experience well-being regardless of what the conditions are surrounding me, and regardless of what my action is within those conditions. So I don't have to do something to prove myself worthy of physical health. That's a pretty bold statement. And I don't have to do something to prove myself worthy of love. I don't have to do something to prove myself worthy of existence. I don't have to do something to prove myself worthy of abundance, financial and otherwise. I don't have to do anything to receive those things. I don't have to prove myself worthy of them by doing. I don't. I can just receive. That is allowed. That's allowed. And I can hear the voice saying, but that's cheating. Just getting stuff without playing the game, without putting in the hours, the effort, the struggle, just receiving without proving that you're worthy, that you deserve it, that you're allowed to have it somehow, that's cheating. To which I respond to this voice, cheating how? And cheating whom? I am not changing anything for anyone else by my decision to play a different game. And that's just it. I'm playing a different game. I am opting out. I'm not breaking the rules. We create the rules. We create the rules. I'm making my own game with my own rules that I get to play. And anyone else is free to do the same. And I know when I get all pissed off and outraged about things feeling unfair, it's because I am choosing to participate in a game that I don't want to play, and that I don't have to. But I've allowed myself to believe that I do, that I have no other choice. The real challenge is remembering that I do, and expanding my perspective to say, this is allowed. This game that is being played by others is allowed, and I'm allowed to play my own game. There's enough room for both. Me playing my game doesn't affect theirs, and theirs doesn't affect mine. And so other people can play the game of, well, I only get these results if I take these actions. I only get the body if I do these exercises and eat this way. And I only get the money if I put in these hours and I do this hustling and this work and this whatever. And I only get the love if I perfect myself and go on 1 million dating sites and whatever it is. And that's fine. That's an interesting game. I played that game. And I am tired of it. And I'm ready to just play my own game now, instead of railing against the rules of a game that I don't have to play. That seems pretty silly. So I'm playing a different game now. And here are my rules for my game. I ask and I receive. And my only work is receiving, is expanding myself to believe more and more that I am worthy of receiving without some other condition attached. I am worthy of receiving unconditionally. So, first of all, the body can be whatever it wants to be. I am expanding my perception of what health can look like and feel like. And yes, I want to feel good in my body, but I'm expanding what that means. And acknowledging that I can tap into the feeling of health and vibrancy and vitality. And that feeling is not dependent upon anything. So I can have the joyful experience of body. That's really what I'm looking for anyway. The joyful experience of being embodied. Not having a specific looking body. The joyful experience of embodiment. I can have the joyful experience of satisfied embodiment. Point blank, period. Because I want it. I can have it without doing anything specifically other than asking for that and focusing myself into that place. I can have the joyful experience of the freedom of abundance and the security of abundance by asking for that and feeling that. That's it. Nothing needs to change. That's all I want anyway, is the feeling. All I want anyway is the feeling. The feeling of security. The feeling of freedom. The feeling of freedom in embodiment. The feeling of appreciation of embodiment. The feeling of love. The feeling of connection. The feeling of joy and the sharing of that joy. These are the things that I want. They're feelings. They are not dependent upon physical conditions or circumstances. I have the power to tap into those feelings, all of the things that I want to feel, unconditionally. And that's what I choose to do. Not to be motivated into action by shame or fear. Not to be prevented from action by shame or fear either, but recognizing the action is really, it's not all that relevant most of the time. It's only relevant when it's satisfying to me. And when I choose for it to be, when I line up my energy with that action and I take satisfaction in it, wonderful. Wonderful. But again, it's not about creating a result. It's not about the result of the action, it's about the action itself. And taking that action is really about just doing something satisfying to me in that moment for the satisfaction of it. That's what this is. This doesn't mean anything. This doesn't matter. This isn't trying to change somebody's mind or reach somebody or expand their perspective. I'm not trying to do anything here. It just feels good to hear myself talk. It just feels good to express this. To stand in my own power, my own belief, my own choice, my own truth of my own experience of reality, and say this is what it is and I get to decide. I get to choose. That's it. So no more being manipulated by shame, by anticipated regret. Fuck that nonsense. If I feel a thing, I feel a thing. I'm not going to be afraid of feeling it, and I'm not going to let that fear of feeling stop me from anything or drive me to anything. That is so bogus. And it is so amazing to me that this is just accepted as a way to manipulate people. I mean, of course it is, but that we're just okay with that. Yes, we know it's highly effective to make people feel afraid of something. And if you can make them feel afraid of a feeling, a potential feeling, a feeling that isn't even a sure thing. It's not here yet. It's just the potential of a future bad feeling. Oh, that's enough. That's more than enough. It's super effective in getting people to buy your product, to take whatever action you want them to take, because they want to avoid that potential future bad feeling at all costs. Fuck that. I am okay with feeling bad. I'm okay. What a freeing statement that is. I'm okay with feeling bad. I don't need to change that. I don't need to prevent that. I don't need to take preventative action for that. I don't need to stop the natural unfolding of life. I can just accept it to be what it is. And if it includes bad feeling, okay, guess what? I am big enough to accept that. I am strong enough. I am resilient enough. I am deep enough to hold and handle that, and even find appreciation for it. I regret nothing. I regret nothing. Because it's all unfolded exactly the way that it was meant to. It can't be any other way. So again, what's the big fucking fuss? What is the big deal? What's the worry here? It's all happening. It's all happening just right. We can't stop it from happening just right. We can't make it happen more right. You can't make it happen more right. You can't be better. You were never worse. There is no better version of you, because there's no worse version of you. There's just you. There's just fucking you. However you are at this moment, however you are in a future or past moment, doesn't matter. It's continuous you, actually. And you are exactly right, exactly as you are, exactly all the fucking time. So I'm done, and I'm sure I've said this many times, so I'm sure I'll say it a few more times. Done with trying to be better. I'm done with trying to be good at all. That's all fucking bullshit. You can't be bad. You can't be worse. You cannot fail to be you. You cannot be a lesser version of you. You're always exactly you. You, total, complete. You can't be more than and you can't be less than. You cannot be added to nor decreased. You're just you all the time. And that is perfect, and that is beautiful. So yeah, that's it. Do the things that feel good to you. If something feels so compelling to you that you feel it would hurt not to do it because you really want to, but you're afraid. And this, to me, it seems to always come back to a fear of rejection, a fear of judgment. If you're afraid of doing the thing because you're afraid of how people are going to perceive you, but you really want to do the thing, then yes, do the thing. But if it's not that, if it's, I'm afraid of not doing this because of how people are going to perceive me, what happens if I just don't exercise? Again, I'm not giving anyone life advice other than myself, so take this with take it with a pound of salt, but I'm talking about me. What if I don't exercise? What if I don't eat the right things? What if I look different and people don't like it? And they say mean things to me, and they call me unhealthy, and they wag their finger, and they shame me. And all of that shame is trying to push me into changing. What if I decide to be happy regardless? What if I decide to love myself and feel beautiful? What if I decide to feel attractive unrelated to the condition of my form or the reaction of others? What if I make that decision? Then people can't control me, and they don't like that. They don't like that. That doesn't feel safe. So of course, they're going to try to change it. And of course, it's going to challenge them. It's going to bring up all of those feelings in them. The shame, the fear in them of doing what they perhaps see me doing. Loving myself unconditionally. Loving myself because I choose to, and not because someone told me it was okay now. Because I met the criteria. So now it's okay. Now you're allowed to love yourself because you've done A, B, and C. You're doing enough. We see now that you've done enough. You've put in enough work to be allowed to love yourself. Now it's okay. What if I stop doing the work and I love myself anyway? It's going to upset a whole lot of people. I know that it is. I've been on that side of it. Seeing people boldly, radically adore themselves, unapologetically, indiscriminately. And it's pissed me off. And I finally realized why. Because that's what I wanted. But I was still playing this other game that I thought I had to play. It felt like they were cheating. It felt like they were breaking the rules. And why do you get to do that and not me? Well, actually, I do. I do get to do that. I get to make my own rules. I get to join the ranks of the unwashed, holy, self-adoring, the saints who are devoted to true, radical, unconditional self-acceptance. Because that's what I believe love is. That's love for me. Truly unconditional. That means it doesn't matter what I do or don't do. And I could do or not do all of it. But the love doesn't change. So what do I really want to do? Because the love doesn't change. Do I really want to do those things? Because it's not going to get me more love. It's not going to get me more love. So if I don't want to do those things, or maybe sometimes I do, and sometimes I don't, it doesn't matter. It doesn't change the love that I receive. It doesn't change my ability to experience love, abundance, security, and well-being. Nothing changes my ability to experience those things. That is my power. That's mine. And I'm claiming it. I'm claiming it. For free. Because I choose to. Because it pleases me. Thank you, Hawk. I agree. And that is all I have to say. I love you. Be you. And have a damn good time. Take it easy.